that's just me being conservative. I do not, because to me, variable debt leaves a lot of,
You're sitting duck.
yes, I think so. I just, a lot of counties utilize that, and maybe there is, and sometimes there is a need, especially in the short term, something that you're not looking at is very long term. But I did put in there that it would not exceed 30% of total indebtedness. Although personally, I just assume that be 0%. I just don't, I'm just not a fan of variable financing. And I can give you a personal case in point. When I, years ago, it's 15 years ago now, we were looking at refinancing our house, and the economy was much better then, and I had a lot of people that looked at me and said, "You are just crazy. Why are you not going to these really good variable rates?" I opted for a fixed rate. It was a little bit higher, but in the end, I still had my house, and a lot of those people didn't, because their rates went up, and my rate was still 5%, or 6%, 5 or 6%. And that can happen. And right now in this economy, I just wouldn't go variable rate. And it does also that we have, before we go into any debt, which we did this before when Mr. Walker came in and gave us analysis reports of where we wind up, and I had CTAS come in and give us a report on our debt. So we have done these things, but we want to make sure that we continue to do these things, and that long after this commission is gone, that the next commission, before they look at debt, that they make sure that they get all of the information before they go into something blindly, and get all the information before they make a decision. Have any other questions or recommendations?
Low rate was 15%. That's got to go to full commission. Is that going to come before some more boards again, be discussed anymore, or just right here?
It'll go from here to straight to the full commission.
Okay. You know, you're looking at over $400,000 from our department.
Yeah. But see, you got $15 million in your hospital fund too.
Yeah.
That counts into that.
Okay.
So that's why I was.
Okay, and that's the part I was misunderstanding too. You know, and I hope
be
everybody
more
understands
than
that. The 15% is total. It's not just 15% of highway or 15% ambulance or 15% whatever. So it's total county budget.
But that, you know, if this commission would like to reduce that to 5%.
That's fine. Schools make ours look so.
I used theirs as a guide, and I kind of did some rough numbers, and it looked like it would be reasonable. Like I said, I just used Warren County as the guide on that.
What?
They were the only ones that had one out there. I saw him, they come down and told us you got to do a debt management policy, but they, CTAS a lot of times will do sample policies, and that's where we got some of this. They didn't have one for this. And this was the only county that really had one, and it was written by their county mayor was a former CTAS representative.
Yeah.
So.
How long have they had this in place for them? How long have they been using the 15?
They just started this.
This
is new.
All new. So in
So
our county on average right now, are we still on the average of 15% right now?
I think it's probably a little bit more than that.
Okay.
I didn't want to go too low.
You wouldn't know what next year.
Next year. That's what I was talking about. Those new revenues that this county is totally dependent on. That is a good thing that y'all took out because they're not there yet. But you know, and if that comes true down there, what I was just talking about a while ago, that'll be well over $500,000 in revenue. It'll be more than what y'all predicted to begin with. I think it will really be good.
Madam Chairman, I move we approve this plan.
Second.
No motion and a second to approve the plan. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? And passed. Next one's credit card policy.
We discussed credit cards before, and they, unfortunately passed and have, I held off on actually obtaining an additional credit card, because we still have to have the Walmart Home Depot cards. I mean, they're the only way we can purchase their items at those vendors. But audit requiring us to have a credit card policy. And a lot of this is actually coming from Knox County. Knox County had a issue where they had many credit cards out there, many credit cards out there, and no control over them, and people that had not been there in years were still using those credit cards. So that there is a.
Didn't they get audited?
Well, yeah, I assume. I think they're audits by private. They don't. The state doesn't audit them.
I gave you a credit card too.
So a lot of so that's an issue area that they're looking at, and they told us that we got a credit card to make sure we have a policy. I tried to make this policy it's pretty stringent, because we would like to continue to use checks and purchase orders, but as much as possible, but we do realize that with the change in technology, that a lot of vendors absolutely will not accept our purchase orders, especially hotels, i.e. Opryland.
Madam Chairman, there's a lot of them will not accept county checks.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we are trying to continue to utilize the checks if they will accept them, but we have found it necessary to get a credit card to be able to continue to utilize these vendors.
But look, brother, this is something that finance is not making mandatory, because, I chose
No.
not to take the credit card.
Yes.
And one reason being is because we don't do as much as most everybody else. We'll travel a couple of times a year, and not, like the other departments have a whole lot more that
Yeah.
they need them for,
Yeah.
that we don't.
We have two departments specifically, schools and our general fund, when the commissioners go to conferences and the school board members go to their conferences. We've got some of the members that just don't have any credit cards, so they can't secure their rooms on their own, because they don't have any.
Yeah.
And my personal credit card does not have a limit large enough to take on all 24 lodging for that.
I just wanted to explain that, because I didn't want
Yes.
everybody to think that the highway department didn't like it. I had no problem
No.
with it. I think it's a good thing. But it's just something that we really don't need, we just choose not to have it.
Yeah. It's not mandatory, but it's something that's out there that we realize that we sometimes have that need. Again, we're trying to stay away from them as much as possible, and I've put some pretty stringent rules on them. We'll go over them.
Well, I personally don't like credit cards. Sometimes they get out of hand, out of control.
Yeah, that's my fear.
I don't like them.
Yeah,
They're necessary.
yeah, they're
And
necessary.
this is a lifetime of plastic.
If you order anything over the internet, you have to have it.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is that we've put in policy that the cards are to be used, in the case where they will not accept a purchase order or our check. And I put in there that we prefer to pay by check. That the credit card use should be kept to minimum. And each holder has to keep a list of all the cards that they have under their control, and to be presented to the financial management office at least annually. And then each holder maintain a log, which we already do. Like the Walmart card, if you want to use it, it's kept in the safe, in a notebook, and when you come in to get it, you have to sign for it, put your purchase order number down, get your purchase order, and then When you bring it back, you have to sign it back in and then turn in the receipts. So we wanna maintain that because that keeps a good record of who has the card. And they are for the exclusive purpose of carrying out official business. No personal expenditures will be allowed. Although I did recognize that sometimes the expenditures are kind of a mixed nature. In other words, when you check into a hotel and the rate is $100 a night and your spouse goes with you, so the rate is they added extra $10. And they're not going to separate that out for us. You know, that $10 versus that $100. Hotels are the biggest problem we have.
A lot of them have a lot of little taxes that you don't realize too. That's what's so hard about a check.
Yeah.
You know, when they draft a check and you send a check, you carry it with you. And well, we've got this little tax and we've got a tax for this and a little local tax for this.
And when you call in and ask for an amount,
They never see it.
Never.
it's never the right amount. I mean, we will end up with $2 credit or the employee will end up paying $2, $5, it's usually less than $10.
Every different person you talk to at that counter will give you a different price.
They will.
They will.
They will. It's, like I said, hotels are our biggest problem that we run into with these. So what I was trying to do was make it so that if that situation occurred, in other words, when you checked in and they tacked on the $10 extra charge because your spouse went with you, you know, your spouse, you're going to have to bear that expense personally.
I mean, now most of them receipts, do they not put two people's in